Do you know that feeling when you wake up already exhausted? When you drag yourself through another day wondering why everyone else seems to have this endless supply of energy while you're running on empty? You've tried everything. More sleep, better nutrition, exercise routines, meditation apps, productivity hacks. Yet here you are, still feeling like you're swimming through molasses while others seem to glide effortlessly through their days. What if I told you that your exhaustion has nothing to do with how much you sleep or what you eat? What if the real problem is something you've never even considered? There's an ancient method discovered by one of history's greatest warriors that reveals why some people never seem to burn out while others collapse under the weight of ordinary life. His name was Miyamoto Musashi. Over 60 life-or-death duels, never defeated, never burned out. While other warriors, often stronger and more talented, fell to exhaustion and defeat, Musashi fought relentlessly, created masterpiece artworks, wrote philosophical treatises, and trained students, all without ever showing signs of the crushing fatigue that destroys most people. But here's what nobody tells you about his secret. It wasn't superhuman endurance. It wasn't perfect genetics or some magical training regimen. Musashi understood something about energy that modern people have completely forgotten. Something that will change how you think about tiredness forever. Your exhaustion doesn't come from what you do, it comes from how you do it. And once you understand this distinction, you'll never feel that soul-crushing fatigue again. Before we dive deeper, I need you to do something. Subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell because what I'm about to share with you goes against everything you've been told about energy and rest. This isn't another productivity hack or wellness trend. This is a fundamental shift in how you approach every single day of your life. Let me tell you about someone who discovered this the hard way. A young man named David, brilliant programmer, successful career, but carrying a weight that no amount of success could lift. Every morning felt like climbing a mountain. Every task felt like pushing through thick mud. He'd tried everything the experts recommended. 8 hours of sleep, perfect nutrition, regular exercise, stress management techniques. Nothing worked. Sound familiar? David was doing everything right according to modern wisdom. Yet he felt like he was slowly drowning in his own life. The problem wasn't his body. The problem was something much deeper, something that Musashi figured out centuries ago in the mountains of feudal Japan. Here's the truth that will shock you. Most of your energy isn't being used by your actual activities. It's being drained by invisible forces you don't even realize exist. Every single day, you're carrying weights that serve absolutely no purpose. Mental stones that accumulate until you can barely function. Think about yesterday. How many times did you do something while simultaneously judging your performance? How many times did you complete a task while worrying about what others might think? How many times did you compare yourself to someone else, even for just a moment? Each of these seemingly innocent mental habits is actually an energy vampire, silently draining your vitality. Musashi called this principle removing everything of no use. But this goes way beyond decluttering your physical space. This is about identifying and eliminating the mental patterns that split your energy in half. When your mind is doing one thing while your attention is somewhere else, you're essentially running 2 programs simultaneously. No wonder you're exhausted. Modern neuroscience has actually proven what Musashi knew intuitively. When your brain splits attention between the task at hand and secondary concerns like judgment, comparison, or performance anxiety, it consumes exponentially more energy. It's like trying to run your computer while mining cryptocurrency in the background. Everything slows down, everything becomes harder, and eventually the system crashes. But here's where it gets interesting. Musashi didn't just avoid this energy drain. He found a way to tap into what seems like unlimited energy by achieving perfect alignment between his actions and his purpose. When every movement, every decision, every thought pointed in the same direction, energy became effortless. This isn't about working harder or pushing through fatigue. This is about working in complete harmony with how energy actually flows. Think of it like this. When you're swimming against the current, every stroke is exhausting. But when you align yourself with the flow of the river, you can travel incredible distances without fatigue. David discovered this during a particularly brutal week at work. Deadline pressure, difficult clients, technical problems. Normally, this would have left him completely drained, but he decided to try something different. Instead of fighting the chaos, instead of judging himself for not handling it perfectly, instead of comparing himself to colleagues who seemed less stressed, he simply responded to each moment as it came. No internal commentary, no performance anxiety, no wishing things were different. Just pure response to what was actually happening. The results shocked him. By the end of the week, while everyone else was complaining about burnout, David felt energized. Not because the work was easier, but because he wasn't wasting energy fighting himself. This is the first glimpse of Musashi's method. But understanding the concept is only the beginning. The real transformation happens when you learn to identify and eliminate the specific energy drains that are unique to your life. And that's exactly what we're going to explore next. Because once you start removing these invisible weights, once you learn to walk your path without carrying stones that serve no purpose, you'll discover something remarkable. Energy isn't something you need to build up or conserve. Energy is something you need to stop leaking. The ancient samurai understood something that escapes most people today. They knew that energy doesn't come from your circumstances. It comes from your relationship to those circumstances. And this relationship can be trained, refined, and mastered, just like any other skill. Let me show you exactly how this works. Right now, as you're watching this video, your mind is probably doing several things at once. You're listening to my words, but you might also be thinking about that email you need to send later. Maybe you're judging whether this information is useful. Perhaps you're comparing your energy levels to how you felt yesterday or last week. This split attention is exactly what's draining your energy reserves. Your brain is like a smartphone running too many apps simultaneously. Each additional process slows everything down and burns through your battery faster. But unlike your phone, you can't just plug yourself into a charger and expect to feel renewed. The solution lies in what warriors call single-pointed focus. When Musashi engaged in combat, he wasn't thinking about his reputation, his next meal, or whether his technique looked impressive to observers. His entire being was concentrated on one thing, responding to the immediate moment. This wasn't just a fighting strategy. This was an energy conservation technique that kept him sharp through dozens of life-or-death encounters. You can apply this same principle to everything you do. When you eat, only eat. When you work, only work. When you rest, only rest. This sounds simple, but try it for 5 minutes, and you'll discover how scattered your attention really is. Your mind will try to pull you in 17 different directions. That's normal. The key is gently bringing your focus back to the single task at hand. But here's where most people make a crucial mistake. They think this means becoming robotic or emotionless. Nothing could be further from the truth. Single-pointed focus actually makes you more alive, more present, more capable of experiencing the full richness of each moment. When you're not dividing your energy between what you're doing and what you think you should be doing, everything becomes more vivid. David experienced this transformation during a simple morning routine. Instead of brushing his teeth while mentally reviewing his schedule, worrying about meetings, and planning his breakfast, he focused entirely on the sensation of brushing. The texture of the toothpaste, the movement of the brush, the taste of mint. What should have been a mundane 2-minute task became oddly refreshing. More importantly, he started his day with energy instead of anxiety. This leads us to the second pillar of the energy method. Most people exhaust themselves fighting reality. They spend enormous amounts of mental energy wishing their current situation was different. The traffic should move faster. Their boss should be more reasonable. Their workload should be lighter. Their family should be more supportive. Every moment you spend resisting what is actually happening is energy flowing down the drain. It's like trying to push a boulder uphill while complaining that the boulder is too heavy. The boulder doesn't care about your complaints. Your resistance doesn't make it lighter. It just makes you weaker. Musashi mastered the art of acceptance without surrender. He didn't passively accept defeat or injustice, but he completely accepted the reality of each moment as his starting point. If an opponent was faster, he didn't waste energy wishing they were slower. He adapted his strategy to work with that reality. If the weather was terrible, he didn't drain himself complaining about it. He adjusted his approach accordingly. This isn't about being passive or giving up. This is about channeling your energy into responses that actually matter instead of wasting it on resistance that changes nothing. When you stop fighting reality, you suddenly have all that energy available for dealing with reality effectively. Watch how this works in your own life. Next time you're stuck in traffic, notice what happens when you resist the situation versus when you accept it. Resistance feels like tension in your shoulders, frustration in your chest, angry thoughts spinning in your head. Acceptance feels like settling into your seat, taking a deep breath, maybe using the time to listen to something interesting or simply observe your surroundings. Same situation, completely different energy expenditure. The traffic moves at exactly the same speed either way. But in one scenario, you arrive at your destination already drained. In the other, you arrive present and capable. This brings us to perhaps the most powerful aspect of the method, understanding the difference between your path and everyone else's expectations. Most of your exhaustion comes from trying to walk multiple paths simultaneously. You're trying to be the person your parents want, the employee your boss expects, the friend others need, the partner someone desires, and yourself all at the same time. This is impossible. Each path requires different energy, different choices, different priorities. When you try to satisfy everyone, you satisfy no one, especially yourself. You become like a river trying to flow in 4 directions at once. Instead of powerful forward movement, you get stagnant pools and wasted effort. The warrior's solution is brutal in its simplicity. Choose your path, walk it completely, let everything else fall away. This doesn't mean becoming selfish or inconsiderate. It means becoming clear about what truly matters to you and aligning your energy accordingly. Remember David, the programmer who discovered this ancient secret? 6 months later, his colleagues couldn't understand what had changed. He worked the same hours, faced the same challenges, but carried himself differently. The constant fatigue had vanished, not because his life became easier, but because he stopped making it harder than it needed to be. This is what Musashi knew that modern people have forgotten. Energy isn't a resource you need to find or build. It's something you need to stop wasting. When you remove the mental stones of comparison, judgment, and resistance, when you align your actions with your true path instead of everyone else's expectations, when you focus completely on what you're doing instead of splitting your attention in 17 directions, something remarkable happens. You don't just feel less tired. You tap into a source of vitality that seems inexhaustible, because it is. This isn't about motivation or willpower or pushing through fatigue. This is about working with the natural flow of energy instead of against it. The path is simple, but it's not easy. It requires you to question everything you've been told about productivity and success. It demands that you choose alignment over approval, presence over performance, your path over everyone else's expectations. But here's what I know. You wouldn't have watched this far if you weren't ready for something different. You wouldn't be here if you were satisfied with dragging yourself through another exhausting day. The warrior's path is calling you. The only question is whether you're ready to answer. Stop carrying stones, walk straight, never tire again,